Welcome to KBR Knowledge Hub. This is Baburao Konchala. Now today, I would like to discuss about some same-sex marriages issues. So everyone knows that, and same-sex marriage, a public litigation filed in the Supreme Court. So now here, Supreme Court actually gave some verdicts on these LGBTQ rights. So now I would like to discuss about some important Supreme Court verdicts on LGBT rights. So one by one, I will discuss the history of the verdicts of Supreme Court, particularly on LGBTQ rights. So this is important for UPSC exam, particularly mains point of view, and we should remember all the verdicts and the persons versus Union of India. We should know that. Then let us discuss one by one. So why in news? The LGBT issue and why in news? So present here, the Supreme Court heard the petition which is related to the LGBT community to legalize same-sex marriages. That is the first issue. That's why recently in news, it is not only news, it is continuously in news. The same-sex marriages issues. So now here, the same-sex marriages, whether the same-sex marriage people actually asking legal right for them. But some of the persons who oppose these same-sex marriages and some of the people who actually support these same-sex marriages. Now we will discuss the Supreme Court verdicts on these LGBTQ rights. So, what are the important Supreme Court cases on LGBTQ rights? One by one, we will discuss. So now here, the first case, Navtesh Singh Johar and Vose versus Union of India. This is the first case. So in this case, Supreme Court actually gave verdict that is decriminalized all consensual sex among adults, including homosexual sex, by scrapping down Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. Section 377 was scrapped down from the Indian Penal Code. So now here, in this case, Supreme Court mentioned decriminalization of the what we call the homosexual sex. That's the first case. It's not a crime. Same sex or homosex is not a crime. That is actually here decriminalized. In this case, Navtesh Singh Johar and Vose versus Union of India. So the court actually ruled that LGBTQ community are equal citizens, underlined that there cannot be discrimination in law based on sexual orientation and gender. This is the statement given by the Supreme Court. The court ruled that the LGBT community are equal citizens, and we have to remember and we have to identify they are also citizens. They also had equal rights. So we cannot discriminate them based on sexual orientation and gender. This is the one thing. So next one here, the second case, Nalsa versus Union of India. Here the court upheld the right of transgender persons to decide their gender. Are you getting my point here, students? The court upheld the right of transgender persons to decide their gender. That's their choice. Second one here, Supreme Court also directed in this case, the center and the state governments to grant a legal recognition to their gender identity, such as male, female, or the third gender, whatever it may be. That's the right. This is the one verdict, important verdict from Supreme Court. This is Nalsa versus Union of India. So then next one here, case Puttaswamy versus Union of India. There's one more case. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. In this case, actually, Supreme Court recognized the right to privacy as a fundamental right under the Constitution. The right to privacy as a fundamental right under the Constitution. This is actually mentioned in case Puttaswamy versus Union of India. So, then Shakti, the next one here, Shafin John versus Union of India. In this case, Supreme Court mentioned, recognized the right to choose one's partner as a fact, as a facet of the fundamental right to liberty and dignity. Recognize the right to choose one's partner as a fact, as a facet of the fundamental right to liberty and dignity. This is mentioned in Shafin John and Union of India. That's their right. They can choose their partner. That is their right actually they mention. And next case immediately, Shakti Vahini versus Union of India. Here Supreme Court mentioned here, recognize the right to choose a life partner as a fundamental right. Choosing a life partner is a fundamental right. That right to choose life partner has the sanction of the constitutional law under Article 19 and 21. The right to choose life partner have a sanction of the constitutional law under Article number 19 and 21. They are fundamental rights. Right to life and fundamental rights 19. That is mentioned, that actually mentioned in the case Shakti Vahini versus Union of India. This is one more thing we need to understand. So next one here, next case is interesting case. Deepika Singh versus Central Administrative Tribunal. Here, Supreme Court actually recognized a typical families including queer, that is called LGBTQ marriages, which could not be confined in the traditional parenting roles. Are you getting my point, friends? Once I'm mentioning here, recognize the typical families including LGBTQ's marriages, which could not be confined in the traditional parenting. That's right, the parenting roles. This is mentioned in the case. So now here, I would like to, already we have seen the cases and Supreme Court to stand on this LGBTQ rights. So what are the impacts of the verdicts to the LGBT community? What are the impact of Supreme Court verdicts on the LGBT community? The first one here, social impact. Everyone knows that. They live with the dignity, respect, freedom as normal as like other genders. That's the first one. That's the first aim of the Supreme Court. That's their life. The fundamental right actually providing here, right to life. Article number 21. They live with the dignity, respect, freedom as normal as like other genders. That's also one more thing you need to understand. Next one here, educational impact. They can take higher education, schooling and jobs, whatnot. Like a normal people, they also do everything. That is the educational impact also you can see. Supreme Court verdicts on educational impact. Right? This is educational impact. So next one here, personal impact also. They are free to choose their partner too, right? They're free to choose their partners too and live in a peaceful environment. Protection against the discrimination. That is the thing you need to understand. They're free to choose their partners too and living peacefully in a peaceful environment. Protection against the discrimination. This is one more thing you need to understand. So now here, what are the challenges faced by the LGBTQ community? What are the challenges? The first challenge is here employment. Everyone knows that. The second one is schemes like here. They are not getting the schemes. Employment here, gender revelation in workplace due to fear of job loss. Gender revelation in workplace due to fear of job loss. So right, that is the first actually major challenge faced by the LGBT community. They didn't get it. Suppose if they reveal that they are LGBT, so immediately they may lose the job. That is affecting on their employment. Next one here, what about the schemes? Government providing number of schemes for the males, citizens of India. But in that citizen, they mention in column like a male and female. They're getting all these schemes. Then what is the chance? What is the position of the LGBTQs in these schemes? They denied access to social protection schemes such as health and health care and pensions. They're not getting any pensions. To reveal their identity is one of the big problem. That's what they're mentioning. A lack of communications between LGBTQ and LGBT community, children and parents often leads to conflict within the families. Lack of communication between LGBT children and parents often leads to conflict within families. That is also a problem. Hate crime. The fourth one is hate crime. That is also one of the challenges faced by the LGBT community. Isolation from the society and victims of hate crimes. They're forced begging and human trafficking. That is a one problem, major problem. No child adoption rights. Now some of the LGBT is asking here to adopt a child, but no child adoption rights. No legal recognition of same-sex marriages. That is the problems what they're facing. Right? Their challenges. These are their challenges. Already I mentioned here what is the Supreme Court view on the LGBTQ. In Supreme Court views here, constitutional and fundamental rights should be given to the LGBT community also. That fundamental rights are also applicable to them because they are citizens. So at the same time here, what they are facing here, they are facing so many challenges. They are facing the challenges in education. They are facing the challenges in the jobs. They are facing the challenges in society. And again here, hate crimes. Isolation from the society and victims of hate crimes. Forced begging and human trafficking is one more reason. No child adoption rights for them. No legal recognition on same-sex marriages. That is also a problem. Right? All these are the challenges faced by the LGBT community. So right now the biggest issue here, same